The only three exercises you need to put on massive size and strength, a max with max performance. And in today's video, we're going to get into just that. And it's probably the three you're thinking of. So, but stay tuned anyways. I got a surprise towards the end, and I'll also tell you anecdotally what I typically do with my training and kind of why I feel like I can speak to this, because this is more or less kind of what I follow. So like, comment, subscribe, and we will get into the video. So what three exercises do you need to do to put on massive size and strength? Well, the first one is going to be a flat bench press. A flat barbell bench press is probably the movement I would pick. Uh, Disclaimer, you could pretty much pick any kind of bench pressing movement, like a flat bench, an incline bench, a what do they call it? Decline, the dreaded decline bench, which everyone makes fun of. But I mean, I've never really done it much, but I see no problem why you can pick something like that. And I mean, you could use a barbell, you could use dumbbells, you could probably even use a Smith machine, although I don't do that too much. The point is that you're doing some kind of relatively heavy uh, chest pressing movement. And I will say, free weights in this instance, I'm saying free weights, and we'll include Smith machine with free weights because it is kind of a machine. It's a bit of a hybrid movement, you could call it. But you should be using free weights if you have the ability. Obviously, some people, like a guy I work with, is super injured and he literally cannot use free weights with any reasonable amount of weight, so he's kind of forced to use machines a lot of the time. Although he can use the Smith machine, so we'll give him a pass on that. Just kidding. But bottom line, ideally you're using some kind of free weight. It's better. Like, I don't have the science to back it up right at the moment. Like, I'm sure studies would confirm this. But if you're a natural lifter, you're not a Mr. Olympia contender, and all these guys use all these different kinds of movements, and their training is super specific to what they're doing. Um, yeah, use free weights. Like, you're going to get better results. I promise you, hands down, better results if you're using free weights. You're just going to put on size and strength faster. And you're just going to be a bit more well-rounded. You're going to build a much better base using free weights. So the first movement is some kind of bench press movement. I personally use a flat barbell bench for my big pressing movement, but I would do some kind of chest dominant pressing movement. Not really an overhead movement, because you're really not going to hit your chest a whole lot. So you're going to want to do an incline or flat, preferably. And if you love decline, then do decline. And you can use barbell or dumbbell. Next movement, some kind of back squat. I personally do a high bar back squat. A lot of people like low bar. Doesn't really matter. Low bar is a bit more posterior chain dominant, where high bar is a bit more quad dominant. I like high bar because it's more comfortable for me. I probably could use more weight if I was doing low bar, but I don't really care. I like doing high bar squats. I think they look much nicer than doing low bar. You could do a front squat. Heck, you could probably even do a relatively heavy goblet squat and get really good squat results. But you should be doing some kind of, again, free weight squat movement. And again, if you can't use a barbell and you need to use like a dumbbell and do a goblet squat, or figuring out something like even using like whatever, like, make sure it's free weight. You can always supplement like machine exercises on the back end, but try to use a free weight squat movement if you can so help it. The next movement we're going to talk about is a deadlift. I personally pull conventional, but it can be really any kind of deadlift movement. Hex bar is really good for beginners. So if you're a beginner, like, feel free to use a hex bar. You could even use dumbbells for all I care, right? I like conventional because it's just the movement I would pick. But yeah, any kind of free weight deadlift movement is going to give you awesome results. It's going to hit your posterior chain, plus your quads typically quite a bit. And obviously the squat, I didn't say this, but the squat's going to kind of cover full leg development. Depending on the specific movement you pick, it might hit your quads or your hamstrings a bit more or less. So the three movements we just went over were flat bench, back squat, and conventional deadlift. Of course, you can use variations depending on what your preference is, and also what you are limited by, like injury wise or mobility wise, etc. Now, obviously, if you throw in some pulling movements on all, like whenever you're doing these movements, that is ideal. Like a pulley row, pull down, pull up, anything like that. That is going to round out your back, and just that, honestly, that's like icing on the cake for me personally. 80 to 90% of my work in the gym is just doing flat bench press, high bar back squat, and conventional deadlift. And I've made some really good gains over the years. So I am Max with Max Performance. All you really need is a heavy chest pressing movement, a heavy squat movement, and a heavy deadlift movement, and you will get like 80 to 90% of the gains you're ever going to get. All the isolation stuff is just icing on the cake. Thank you for watching the video. Please like, comment, subscribe. I'll hit you in the next one.